Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and apologize for a little bit of a late start tonight. We will continue until 8 minutes after the hour, so we'll have a full hour broadcast. I'm not going to penalize anybody for the fact that we were a little bit late getting started, but for some reason we had some audio difficulties, and just wanted to make sure that everybody was able to be heard as well as being seen. We have a wonderful show tonight, and I hope that those of you who are joining us now, are not put off by the fact that we're running a little late, but hopefully we'll stick with us for the long haul. We are going to be discussing a very interesting show for me. It's got some wonderful elements of jazz. It's got some elements of course, of diversity built into it, as well as essentially a piece that is I guess perfectly set for the National World War II's BB Stage Door Canteen stage. The fact of the matter is, they're going to be having a show coming up starting this weekend called One Night with Billie and Ella, and it's going to continue for at least another week after that. I don't know whether or not we'll be able to see it after that, but at least we'll be able to deal with that. We have the stars, who I now see all of our stars here ready to go. They just are all assembled. But I'm going to first invite into the room Erica Jensen. Erica, welcome to our show. Erica, we appreciate you being here. Erica is, of course, the Director of Entertainment at the National World War II Museum, in charge of BB Stage Door Canteen, and I would say the driving force behind all of the entertainment that's there, from the Victory Bells to original shows like this, to also the traveling shows that we had, like Terry Lee Goffey, who was in with that wonderful Johnny Cash show, the show that we were lucky to have him on and talk a little bit about not so very long ago, as well as I say, some other interesting things in terms of dances and things of that sort that y'all do, and of course the person who will be responsible for our hopeful Stage Door Idol competition, which we keep our fingers crossed.
Yes,
COVID will stay far away, and we will have a new reigning Stage Door Canteen winner, Stage Door Idol winner, because we really need to have. I know Brittany, will talk to her in a little bit, but I mean, I'm sure she's getting tired of being referred to as the reigning Stage Door Idol winner, but because it's been since 2019. But
yep.
Let me first off invite you to tell me a little bit about, first of all, why this particular show came up. I mean, was it something that you had been thinking about for a long time, or was it something that you were more or less approached by someone like Brittany or whatever to maybe I've got this idea. So tell me where the germ of this show came from.
So these two singers, Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald, are my absolute favorite, my two favorites. So, ever since becoming the Director of Entertainment, Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday were on my mind to do a show, and we've done, a lot of other shows. And so it was shortly after Brittany Williams became our Stage Door Idol winner in 2019, and then she was in our show about Cole Porter, that she did approach me with this idea, which just kind of matched what was in my mind as well. It's her concept, and she created the show, but I was all on board to help, get this show up and running. And literally, I think it's been since the fall of 2019 since we've been discussing bringing this show on.
Well, let me just say, Erica, that for those of you who don't remember, yes, Brittany Williams, who's about to come in, was indeed the Stage Door Idol winner, and again, she was in period costume there. I can't exactly remember the song that she did, but I know she knocked it out of the ballpark, and she became the Stage Door Idol winner for 2019. There she is with this funny looking guy next to her, but she actually beat out all the competition, did a fantastic job. But I think this speaks to the fact that she knows the material. Mm-hmm. And again, she understands what that period is all about, which is, of course, so important to the National World War II Museum in terms of the overall, aspects of what your mission is, and so I understand that people may say, well, who is Brittany? Well, there she is. Brittany is also, we're going to talk to her in just a little bit. She's also got a new job that she's taking on, and we'll talk to her about that as well. But let me just say that I'd like to ask the author of the piece to come in now. And again, Brittany, there's a little bit of a send up there. You've been on our show before when we talked about the Idol winners, et cetera, in the past. Now, since the time that you had that title, you have a new title too, don't you? Mother?
Yes. A couple new titles.
Is much more important than any other, right?
Yes.
So now how old is it a daughter or a son? I can't remember. Son. Yeah. How old is your son now?
Well, he's about to be 6 months old, so.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, we saw each other at the NOLA Project's Sculpture Garden presentation called Tell It To Me Sweet. Was that what it was?
Yeah. Tell It To Me Sweet, A Winding Trail of Tales.
And you were the author of that piece as well. Yeah. And so again, the NOLA Project shortly after that piece ran in the Sydney and Walda Bestoff Sculpture Garden, they made an important announcement that for their first time in history, that you're going to be taking on a new title, and that is what, as an associate
co-artistic director.
Assistant artistic director?
Co-artistic director.
Co-artistic director.
Yeah, so, AJ Allegra and I both share the artistic director position. So
now, is that sort of like in a captain and co-captain thing? They're not always equal. Sometimes the captain still takes precedence. Are you both considered now co-artistic directors?
Yeah. Okay. We're pretty. It's a very egalitarian situation.
Okay.
And AJ's really great. He has me beat on experience because he's been artistic director of the NOLA Project for so many years, but he's extremely generous with sharing what he knows and valuing my opinion on things and giving me the freedom to make choices. So it's really great. I'm enjoying myself.
And I'm gonna sort of give you a little bit of background. Andrew Larimer, who was the person who came up with the whole idea of the NOLA Project, was originally from here. He graduated from Isidore Newman School in 2004, along with my son. So that'll give you a little bit of an idea about how far back I go with Andrew. So, and of course, he's now, I believe, in Texas. I think he's in Austin, right? Isn't that right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's where he is. So, but he comes to town every now and then. We had him on our show not that very long ago. So tell me, were you the one, according to Erica, she said that you were the one who came up with the idea for this show. So, yeah. So what was it about both of these singers that made you, feel like you could put something on and that you could write about them? What was it about them that drew you to that material?
Well, they're both such iconic singers of the period. And as I was looking up songs, I noticed that they cover a lot of the same material. They've worked with a lot of the same people. And honestly, I was a little inspired by the Stage Door Idol, because Karis, who was the 2018 winner, she sang God Bless the Child, which is like that song is Billie's song. It is absolutely Billie's song. It was inspired by something she said to the songwriter. So I was like, okay, so Billie, okay, we have a Billie Holiday. And I was like, and Ella Fitzgerald, that would really fit together. And I just imagined what kind of show would really play to the BB Stage Door Canteen space. And it would be an imaginary concert. So it's just, imagine if in 1946, these two women got together for a one night only concert at some venue somewhere. And this was like a special thing that only happened for this audience. So,
but I have to say they did appear in public together before, because here's a picture, evidence that they did. There's Billie, there's Ella, right?
Right. And I mean, of course, they had to have performed together. They had to have sang together at least once, because they both ran in the same circles. We just don't have a recording or
Right.
hard record of it. So
Well, remember that back then, 78s were the thing. You had to get people in the studio to record those things. So yeah, go ahead, Erica.
That's the only picture that I can find of them together too. So I don't know how often they appeared together.
That may be. So that brings me up what you mentioned about God Bless the Child. That brings me up to my my asking about what drinks y'all brought in, because guess what my drink is? You're not going to know what it is. I'm going to tell you what it is. This is not God Bless the Child, but this is a God Child. I got two of the words right. A God Child is equal parts of vodka, amaretto, and heavy cream, shaken and then strained into a chilled glass. So there you go.
Sounds tasty.
Well, all right.
Really tasty. I mean, this is similar to a White Russian, in overall taste. So it's a creamy, delicious drink. But I said, God Bless the Child and God Child. They're kind of similar. So I got two out of the three words. So I don't know what you brought in, Erica. What did you bring in before we get out to the to our cast members?
I have a mocktail for my Monday mocktail, I suppose. I don't drink. I mean, it's just a club soda. I brought the ingredients so I could show you. So it's a La Croix.
Yes.
Or LaCroix or whatever anybody says. Fresh squeezed lime. And then I have this fun seed lip. I don't know if anybody's gotten into that.
No, what is that?
Non-alcoholic. And it's a distilled non-alcoholic spirit. So it's kind of doesn't taste like anything that I have, like that I can really put my finger on, but it's aromatic. It's kind of got a little spice. It's not quite like a spice rum.
So it's sort of like a non-alcoholic beer, but it's non-alcoholic liquor, huh?
It's more like just a distilled spirit with spicy flavors. I don't know. It's very tasty for a non-alcoholic Monday.
All right. And Brittany, what did you bring in the room tonight?
I kept it simple. Just a glass of rosé.
That's okay.
I love a glass of rosé.
So, Erica, I'm gonna tell you and Brittany that sometime around 1980 or so, at the Blue Room, Ella Fitzgerald appeared. I was fortunate enough to be at that performance, and I actually got to see her perform live. Now, a lot of people do remember she performed at least one of the first jazz fests that she was here. Of course, Billie Holiday, I don't believe survived into the time of the Jazz Fest, so she would not have been able to make it. But Ella was well into her repertoire, and I do remember the night that she was there. They had a number of ladies who were gathering who were Avon sales ladies, and she launched into a version of "You've Never Looked So Good," the Avon theme song, which I'd never heard anybody do, and she swung it like nothing else. It was like a Cole Porter standard, the way she did it. Wonderful. So again, Ella Fitzgerald is, as you had mentioned, she's my all-time favorite as far as a singer, and not just a jazz singer. I mean, as a singer for the Great American Songbook, to me, there's no higher standard, that you're talking about the platinum standard for me when you talk about Ella Fitzgerald. And again, having sold her records before at the record shop that my family had, I'm familiar with the work she did with the Cole Porter songbook, with the George and Ira Gershwin songbook, with the Irving Berlin songbook, and all the other major songbooks that were put out on the Verve label. Of course, also all the work that she did with Louis Armstrong and all the other work that she's done as a solo artist, live recordings and things of that sort. Again, my favorite. Now, I was exposed to Billie Holiday, through my experience, selling it at the record shop, obviously, but also at WTUL, I got exposed to a lot of it in my jazz years, as it were, and so I got to know a lot about her too. And again, Brittany, I think you might have maybe gotten some of the inspiration too, if you got a chance to see that incredible performance that Audra McDonald did of Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, which she won a Tony Award for. And again, I'm not quite sure if that was her 5th or 6th Tony Award, maybe the 6th, but just an amazing performance. And she pretty much got the whole Billie Holiday speech pattern and everything down. I thought that was really, really wonderful. So I'm going to bring in our cast members in just a second, but Did you get a chance to see that Audra McDonald piece at all? Was
No, I haven't. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but I know that it's streaming, so it's on my list. A lot of things are on my list, but with a new baby, I just don't get to.
The interesting thing is I saw it on Broadway at Circle in the Square, where it was literally, she performed in this little center area, and everybody was assembled like in an arena, very intimate, beautiful. And then, believe it or not, HBO said we want to do a live to tape recording, just like in the show. The show had closed like several months before, probably 6 months or so before, and they brought it down to what was at that time the old Cafe Brazil, and they rented that building, and HBO taped it there. And the first night, I bought 2 tickets for the first and the second nights. And the first night, they had all the shots of all the audience, reactions. So they were taping it, but they weren't really taping the actress on stage and the other actors who were playing with her. Audra McDonald was doing her thing, and they were there, but they weren't really shooting the scenes as much as they were the audience reactions. So I'm on that tape for some reason. The second night, they asked me, they said, would you mind please not coming the next night? We will give you some swag or something like that, and we'll give you your money back, for your ticket that you paid. But we want to reduce the number of people who are in the audience for the next 2 nights that we're going to be recording. I said, fine. So about a week later, I hadn't got my swag, and I never got the swag, and I never got the money for the ticket back until I had actually pressed the people. But I did eventually get reimbursed for that. But I wish I had not given up my ticket, stayed for the next night, because it was such a fantastic show. But I did get to see it on Broadway, and I did get to see it here in New Orleans. But I have not yet seen the HBO presentation. I hope to see that myself one day, but I know how good it is because I saw it live twice. So I'll just tell you that. So let me bring in our cast members. Erica, I'm gonna bring you in the background for just a little bit while I bring them in. Brittany, I want you to stick around so we can talk with them as well. Erica, before I let you go, and you're not leaving anywhere, but I'm going to bring you back in a second. As the director, I'm assuming that you're the person who was responsible for auditioning, etc.
Well, Brittany's the director.
Oh, okay. So Brittany, all right. So good. All right. So this is the Brittany thing. Okay. Let me get her in, and we'll talk a little bit on the back after I talk to Chloe and Kathleen. Okay. Here we go. All right. Chloe Marie Johnson, is that right?
Well, yes.
And then we have Kathleen Moore, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So I want to make sure I've got everybody right. So we have Kathleen Moore and we have Chloe Marie Johnson. Yes. Okay. So let me first off welcome you to the show. Again, have you ever seen any of our shows before? Have you ever tuned in?
I don't think I have.
Okay.
I've tuned in maybe once or twice.
Okay, good. All right. So just as background, once the pandemic set in and I realized we were not going to have any theater, I started to try to figure out what the heck can we do to kind of keep our community together and also to perhaps have an outlet. So we actually performed several plays that were done, readings and things of that sort that were done over the course of the last couple of years. And as theaters have opened up, I've done less and less of these shows because obviously there's more theater to see. I don't have to do as much, connecting the community because people are out there doing the hard work that's necessary to keep theater going. But again, that was sort of my inspiration. So I'm going to ask first off, Kathleen, you're doing which role?
I am Billie Holiday.
Okay. So as Billie Holiday, were you familiar with her very much beforehand?
Well, yeah, I was familiar with her music. I was familiar with a lot of her performances as well. But, I grew up in such a profound musical family. So I was exposed to a lot of music from the era that she was in, that she was really alive in, at such a young age. And with having parents that were both born in the 40s, it just gave me an early exposure to her music. Not just her, but so many singers in that area, in that genre as well too.
You said your parents were born in the 40s, really?
Yes, they were. My parents were born in the 40s.
Wow. I didn't realize,
well, I'm one of 7 kids, so by the time they got to me, they kind of knew the whole, whereabouts of what to do. But they instilled in me a lot of their influences. That they were Billie Holiday fans, they were Ella Fitzgerald fans. And even before that, when you get into Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey, and my grandparents were born all before 1910. So I've had a lot of exposure and a lot of opportunities to listen to a lot of great music, coming up.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
I'm familiar with her.
and okay, so Chloe, obviously, if she's playing Billie Holiday, that means that you've obviously got to be playing Ella Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your process in approaching this.
To be honest, I feel like this is something that I've been training for my entire life, because like y'all have said, Ella Fitzgerald is also my favorite vocalist. I've listened to her my entire life. I credit her as one of the vocalists who taught me how to sing. So getting to do this, I was like, all right, I will just take all of those years that I was sitting in my room studying her technique and listening to what she would do, and now I can take all of that and try to put it into my performance. It's like, yeah, I feel like I've been preparing for this for longer than I knew.
So you've got your 2 actors here. Brittany, tell me how it was that you determined that these were the 2 people that you wanted to perform those roles. What was it about them in their auditions, or what was it about them that struck you?
Well, I'll be honest, it was nothing but the grace of God by which we got these 2 wonderful actresses. When I originally pitched the show to Erica way back in 2019, 50 years ago that 2019 was, it was originally going to be myself and Karis doing the show, but circumstances being what they are, we could no longer do the show, and Erica suggested Kathleen and Chloe, and honestly, I don't think we could have gotten 2 more perfect actors. Like, it's just, they're both fantastic. It's wonderful. I'm glad I couldn't do the show, because I'm like, this is great. It's great. It's great.
Well, I know, and of course, you mentioned Karis. I mean, she got the Big Easy Award, I believe, for. I'm trying to remember, was it Ragtime that she won?
The Wiz.
The Wiz. Just amazing, performer, and you follow in those illustrious footsteps, as it were. And again, you've got Chloe doing Ella, and you've got Kathleen doing Billie. I don't know that much about Billie's connection to New Orleans, but I'm going to tell you all about a little bit of a connection that's probably not well known about Ella Fitzgerald. And you're not going to maybe understand all of the permutations, etc. But there was a group down in New Orleans that was very famous back in the 20s and early 30s called the Boswell Sisters. Do any of you know who the Boswell Sisters were? Okay.
Yes.
So the Boswell Sisters had one particular performer who was in a wheelchair as a result of polio, although nobody would ever, because of the the stigma of having polio in the family, people thought about it, sort of as a terrible ordeal, etc. And they said Connie was the result of an automobile accident. They would always hide away from that, but it was really as a result of childhood polio that she suffered. And the girls, were the most fantastic jazz vocalists that you can imagine. You'd swing the thing that, like any song they would do, they would Boswell it, if you will. They would put their own swing stamp on it. And after the group broke up in the mid 30s, Connie Boswell still maintained, her status as a single artist. And Ella Fitzgerald was so enamored of her voice and of her ability to do a song that she emulated her. That was her hero. That was the lady she said that she most wanted to identify with. So Connie Boswell from New Orleans with the Boswell sisters, and that influence, was a direct influence on Ella Fitzgerald. And I will say that the night that she auditioned for the first time, and I think that might have been the time that she actually met Chick Webb, although I have to go back and check all my research on that. But she actually was starting to do she was going to do a dance number rather than do a song. She wasn't going to sing. and somebody else went on and did a fantastic job with a dance prior. So she decided she was going to sing at the last minute, and that's what she chose was a Connie Boswell song. So there you go. So again, not everybody's going to appreciate that, and they're going to say, "Oh, yeah." But there's a definite, connection between 3 degrees of separation, if you want to say, between Ella Fitzgerald and New Orleans proper. So there is that connection. And Eric, I didn't know whether or not you knew that story. Did you know that story?
I didn't know that story specifically, no, but I'm aware of the Boswell sisters. Okay.
And of course, the Boswell sisters, that's another group. I hope one day we can get another group. I know the Pfister sisters already do it, but if they ever do another biographical show about close swing harmony, that's the group that we should really emulate, and the one that we should maybe identify with on stage, because they're straight products out of New Orleans and fantastic. And I know somebody who would help you is at the Historic New Orleans Collection, because they've got all that Boswell material over there. So let's get into a little bit of the repertoire. Brittany, how did you decide what the performances were going to entail? I know this is supposed to be one night with Billie and Ella. So what songs did you select, or what did you determine that you wanted to have? Did you want to have slow songs, ballads, or did you want to have some more up-tempo things like, I'm just trying to think of some of the faster moving things. Tell me.
So basically, I wanted to have a nice mix. Nobody really wants to see a show where every single song is slow or every single song is fast. It can get exhausting after, an hour plus. So I of course had to pick some of their most iconic songs. So God Bless the Child is in there. A Tisket, a Tasket is in there. And then selfishly, I put in some of my personal favorite jazz standards. So the song Willow Weep for Me is in there, Blues in the Night, Don't Explain, and the other kind of song that I tried to pick I picked some songs that Ella had done with Louis Armstrong, because I knew those could become duets, and I just turned them into duets for Billie and Ella. So I wanted to make sure that I had some moments where they sang solo, some moments where they sang together, and we could show that like a bit of camaraderie and fun and banter between the two of them. So yeah, so we have like Cheek to Cheek, we have Let's Call the Whole Thing Off. We have Ain't Misbehaving.
So again, mostly from what you would call the Great American Songbook, I would assume, right? So they're jazz standards, but they really are Great American Songbook classics more than just jazz standards. Now I'm gonna actually have to ask Kathleen, if I may. They just had the movie about Billie Holiday's life, etc., and they talked about that one song, that was always a problem for her. She insisted on singing it, and a lot of people didn't like the ramifications, etc. Are you performing Strange Fruit?
Yes, I am performing Strange Fruit. I am. Yes.
All right, and we of course, that's another story. That whole story about the guy who wrote Strange Fruit is, and his connection with the Rosen. I'm trying to remember the family, the family that they had Edith. What was it? The family, the Rosenbergs, who were executed for supposedly being spies, etc. And apparently Abe Meerpole, who was the guy who actually ended up becoming the adopted father of the Rosenbergs' children. So it's kind of an interesting story about that as well. So what about Billie in terms of her tragic story, Brittany? Did you go into detail about what had befallen her and those hard times she endured?
No, so I intentionally set this one night concert in 1946, which is the year before things really fall apart for Billie. I just wanted to experience a joyful moment in these women's lives. And there are so many other people who have told and probably will tell the tragedy of Billie Holiday. So I just wanted to see her in a triumphant moment right here. So
I got you. So Erica, for people who are considering going, tell me a little bit about how this is being presented. The times, et cetera, the dates, et cetera, that we have.
Great, I'd love to. So this opens this Friday at 7 p.m. at BB Stage Door Canteen at the National World War II Museum. The show runs Friday through March 27th. And again, Friday and Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30, and drinks will be available at the American Sector Bar. And then on Sundays at 2 p.m. And also the bar will be open for your consumption.
And again, previously we used to have food being served, et cetera, but that's no longer the case, at least right now, right?
Correct. We are not back with the dinner and a show, just COVID and scheduling and staffing issues. And so, or I should say challenges.
Yes.
But, yes, but the American Sector we have some cheese plates, charcuterie boards that people can purchase. And again, the bar is open for any beverages anybody would like to bring into the show. I will say the bar closes when the show starts, just to not create that distraction. And right. And also we are having an industry night, which I think is appropriate to invite the guests around here, which is our final dress rehearsal. So it's our preview night, and that's going to be this Thursday. So instead of drinking green beer, why don't you come to Stage Door Canteen and see the show at 7 p.m. And that's an invitation to our fellow performers for our industry night.
Ticket prices for industry night and other nights, do you know?
Industry night is pay what you wish at the door. Good question. Thank you. Other nights, our tickets are $45. And if you're a museum member, you get, I think, about $3 off of that. So you can buy tickets at stagedoorcanteen.org. You can call us at 504-528-1943. And many ways you can get tickets.
All right. We're gonna bring you back in a little bit, but I want to get back to the important question of the day. Kathleen and Chloe in particular, what did you bring in the room tonight that we could talk about what you brought in? I see Chloe's getting it. Yep, what you got?
I just have a bubbly sparkling water.
Is that a bubbly?
Yeah, sure, a bubbly.
And, I do this because I really do enjoy getting to get, sometimes people can be very creative with what they bring in the room. So, I thought when we first started 2 years ago, it would be a good idea to, just sort of as an icebreaker, literally as an icebreaker, to come in and say, what did you bring in? So that leaves Kathleen. Kathleen, you got something going on?
All right, you're probably going to think I'm so not with the party right now, but actually I didn't bring anything in.
You what?
I didn't bring anything in.
Oh, you know what we have to do now?
Yeah.
Go get something quick because I'm going to have to remove you.
I got some fruit juice in the
Go get it. Okay. Go get it. Meanwhile, I'm gonna remove her till she gets that back in there. Chloe, tell me a little bit about again what you're going to be performing. What really I know there's some numbers et cetera, but when you're channeling Ella Fitzgerald, are you using her particular musical inflection, et cetera? Are you listening to what she does? How are you approaching that when you do it in terms of what's your process, your method there?
I think, definitely that. Just based off the fact that I've been listening to her my entire life, and she is, like I said, the vocalist who I credit with teaching me how to sing. I think I already naturally, within training myself, tried to pick up things from her. So within the show, I do make it a little bit of a point to Ella-ize some things, but it kind of comes a little naturally. Like, I feel like it couldn't have worked out better for me because we have similar voices. Like, she has a very bright tone that I find pretty natural to match. So yeah, within working with the material, I really think that there are definitely some things that I particularly tried to take from her performances that people will recognize. But I think for the most part, she's already been my guide vocally for most of my life. So I think it was just a natural progression to try to turn it up a little bit on some of those things and make them more Ella.
I'm going to bring in our problem child now.
Oh.
There you are.
That's right. Billy would be, though.
So I got some fruit juice in my fancy glass. So.
That's it. I don't want to break our record. Everybody who's come in the room all these many years has always brought in something. So we have to continue that tradition. So you just heard what Chloe was talking about, I think, in the background. What is it that you do in terms of Billie Holiday? She had a very distinctive voice pattern, and also the way that she sung certain songs. It was a little bit more, I would say, in the higher register many times. So, I mean, what did you take from listening to her that you were able to translate for people who had not maybe heard Billie Holiday on a regular basis? What were the things that you brought into your process to more or less bring Billie back and make people appreciate her?
Yeah, so I read up a little bit about her, and I realized that she was very influenced by blues singers that were before her. Bessie Smith, Ma Rainey. And whenever she did sing, she came from a certain experience or something in her life that made her sing the way she sang, she loved Louis Armstrong and his musical styling, and she wanted to copy that into her singing, and she did. And she wanted to sound like a horn player or a trumpet player, and she phrased it along with what big band musicians would phrase, in their solos. But a lot of her musical styling was influenced by just experiences in life, because she was such an honest woman and she was honest with herself. And so what I had to do was, think about my own life and try to pull from that. One thing I didn't want to do was to copy her sound. Okay, now there are certain things that she does here and there in her styling that I wanted to adopt and use. But after reading a lot of what I've read about her, she never wanted to sound like anybody else, And I don't even think she would want me singing like her if she was in the audience,
Yeah.
So I'm not here to copy her sound. That's one thing.
Right.
I'm here to connect. I'm here to connect with what she was connecting with, and I'm able to find things in my life, that make me, go to the pit of it and bring that out and bring that emotion out, So that's really where I'm connecting with her on that level. But I would not attempt to even try to sound like her. That's her sound, only hers. And I remember there was a quote she said, if I'm going to sing like someone else, I don't need to sing at all, So I take that to heart, hearing that.
Well, I think it's important that anybody who's an actor and trying to sing on stage and bring back a performer in that manner, that they should not try to imitate, but more or less emulate. I think is probably the best way to look at it, because you're putting part of yourself into that character, and you do not want to be somebody like a Rich Little doing an imitation of that person. You want to be able to take your own character and make it part of what the final product is, between the author, between your director, and all those people who are working in concert to make this fleshed out and to make it a real performance, a real living, breathing person with the songs, etc., that you've got selected for you already. So I think that's important. So, and again, the duets that you're doing, I don't know that I heard a particular one, but I heard her say, Brittany mentioned that Louis Armstrong and Ella doing some duets, etc., like off of some of the albums that they did. So those tended to be more jazz oriented. Is that some of the ones that you all are doing together in terms of your? So what would those be? Give me a hint.
Oh, well, Like Brittany said, let's call the whole thing off, which is my favorite duet that we do. It's so fun.
Yeah, we have Ain't Misbehaving.
Okay.
Very bluesy.
So you've got a little bit again, Cole Porter, and I'm trying to remember. Let's call the thing off would be Gershwin, right? Would that be right?
Don't want to lie to you.
I think so. In any event, because that would have been something that was done back in the 30s. I think that is that. Am I right? Okay, thank you. But I mean, the whole point is that these were iconic songs done by these very incredibly talented women, and again, I got to think that one of the things that I don't know whether or not you brought it up, Brittany, but maybe you can go into that a little bit. That to be a woman performer on stage probably was a lot more difficult, than and certainly women of color, was difficult, but because of all the problems of touring, etc. But just to be a woman, to be able to take your craft and be able to perform it, must have been very difficult in that time period.
Yeah, so being a Black performer on tour was difficult all the way, up through the Motown years, when you hear like Diana Ross and the rest who were on the Motown circuit talking about how they had to sleep on their tour buses because some of the hotels wouldn't allow them to stay there, and it got to the point where they would let people, gain entry by bringing in toilet paper because they just had to, use the bathroom wherever they could find a place to use the bathroom. They couldn't necessarily go to actual restrooms. So this wasn't, we're looking at 1946. So this was even harder at the time. And another kind of carry through, being a woman performer, there's a higher standard / expectation for what you look like, how you present yourself, what you sound like, all of these things. So, these had to be two very strong-minded women to even attempt to go through their musical careers on their own terms. And sometimes it worked out. Sometimes we see people driven into vice and struggle, kind of like Billie Holiday was. So it was really, really hard. And this is pre-integration. So I know that I want to say 1955, there are some pictures that have been going around recently of Ella and her band in jail because they performed at an integrated space that wasn't supposed to be integrated, and someone called the police and had the entire band arrested for being unruly when all they were doing was performing the show.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, that those days didn't disappear even into the 60s. I mean, you mentioned Motown, but I mean, I remember my mother and father, and my uncle were promoters, and we used to sell our tickets for our shows, which were usually, people such as Johnny Mathis and people like that. They were not allowed, essentially, for a lot of people to get tickets at other places. We had to sell some of the tickets at Warlands, but like Mason's Motels, we sold tickets at Mason's Motels. And a lot of the times that there were people who were, having to stay overnight, they weren't allowed to be at the hotels. And it was a terrible situation. I do remember, a lot of that going on. Dionne Warwick, when she wanted her band members to be able to go out and she had to get extra cash to give to the fellows that night because nobody had cash that they had readily available to them because everything was sort of like paid through William Morris Agency, etc. So she got part of the money that she was being paid that night in cash, which was then deducted from the William Morris Agency, etc. that we gave to her. But it's just a long, I would say, sordid history, here in the South. I think that it was different in other areas, but it's still a struggle. I know that, and again, I'm certainly glad that those days are long gone now, and that we are hopefully moving, into a better area, and that people are respected a little bit more than they were in the past. Interesting though, Brittany, I mentioned this in 1935 approximately was when Billie Holiday first started, right? Am I approximately correct? Because I remember that somewhere around that time Bessie Smith was retiring, and Billie Holiday's first session was around the same time, almost to the day when Bessie Smith retired, and then so that means she would have been recording a good 10. Well, let's say 35. You said this is 46, about 10 years or so. But I think that it wasn't that long after, like 36 or so, that Ella Fitzgerald started up too. So they both started around the same time, and interesting.
Yeah, Ella's Apollo performance was 1934. So
okay, so it's even a little bit before. So
that was her Apollo debut. It didn't go the way that she wanted it to go.
Okay.
She won, but and we tell this story in the play. She won amateur night at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, but she didn't get her prize of a week's worth of headlining shows because they thought she looked too disheveled. So it was a little bit of a rocky start for our girl, but
yeah. She did well afterwards, though. So she made up for it. Erica, you've got a great cast. It looks like in terms of the show. Again, this weekend as it start. The following weekend, that's the last date that you've got.
Yeah, 2 weekends.
And let me ask you this: is it possible? We haven't had the run of the show yet. Is it possible that this show might be brought back? I know it won't be held over because you've got other things to do, but is it possible that we might see this show come back again? Because you've done that in the past.
Anything's possible.
Okay.
Especially with this talent before us. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So Chloe and Kathleen, I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to tell you I'm going to be looking forward to seeing you on stage coming up this weekend because I get a chance to review the show and get a chance to tell more people about all the different permutations of what's going on there, etc. Have you all ever worked at BB Stage Door Canteen before?
Yes, I have. In a show called Higgins.
Oh, you were in the Higgins show, okay?
Yes, I was in Higgins. Yes.
And Rob Pavlovich played played Andrew Higgins.
Yes.
That was a great show too. I know it was a very fortuitous timing because Rob was off of, he works as a professor, an adjunct professor at the University of Cincinnati's conservatory. So, he had to have time off, et cetera, to be able to do that. And I was delighted that they were able to do that. But I doubt very seriously Rob will be able to come back at any time, just willy-nilly. So hopefully people will get a chance to see that show one day again because it was an important show. So, and Chloe, you hadn't had a chance to perform on the stage before?
Oh, yes. I sang soprano one with Victory Bells. So
okay.
That's kind of my little home now.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fantastic. So what shows for the Victory Bells would I have maybe seen you in?
I don't maybe a matinee. I also did the teddy bear tease at the canteen.
Okay. Yeah, the teddy bear tees are probably a little bit too young for me.
Probably.
Yeah,
you can come, Alan.
Yeah, I know, but it's okay. Let there be room for the ones that really will appreciate the teddy bear tees.
They do sell out.
Yes. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to talk to Erica a little bit about the rest of the season. Brittany, I want to thank you again for being here tonight again as the author, as the director, and as we mentioned, the co-artistic director, the newly announced co-artistic director for the NOLA project. And I think we're going to have you back on the show to talk about, the season, et cetera. But I should mention that the NOLA project, before you go, they're having a special event, are they not? Coming up.
Yes, so we are having.
It's called the boil, right?
Yes, we're having a crawfish boil. It's called the High Seas Soiree, a boil for the bold. It's our annual fundraiser. That'll be happening on April 3rd from 3 to 6 p.m. You can go to our website to buy tickets. We would love to have as many folks there as possible. yeah, it's going to be a good time. We're going to have some pirate themed activities, some adult beverages, crawfish, entertainments, and that's where we're going to announce our 2022-2023 season. So everybody there will get the inside scoop on what we're doing next year.
And I think I'd be remiss, since we're mentioning the NOLA project and the sculpture garden, that we are all, of course, mourning the recent passing of Sidney Bestoff, who was, of course, the great benefactor for the sculpture garden, along with his wife Walda. But again, that just occurred not that long ago, a little over a week or so ago. And I know that the museum and all those people who had dealt with Mr. Bestoff and all of the fantastic projects that he was involved with, and all of the artwork that he donated, are sad to see him go. And again, hopefully his memory will be honored by all the work that you all are going to be doing with the NOLA project. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm gonna keep Erica in the room with me for a little bit, so we can talk a little bit more about BB Stage Door Canteen and the National World War II Museum. But I want to thank you all for being here. We got about another maybe 10 minutes or so left of the show. But thank you all for being here tonight. And I will hopefully talk to you after the show, and maybe we'll get a chance to chat. Okay. So thank you. All right, Kathleen again. Kathleen Moore, thank you for being with us tonight. And
my pleasure.
That's a break legs, as they say. We don't want to say too much that would, doom your performance. But thank you for being with us. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And again, Chloe, we want to make sure that you're in here as well. Want to thank you for being here tonight as well. You're going to be doing Ella Fitzgerald. She's going to be doing Billie Holiday. It's going to be a wonderful production, one night with Billie and Ella. There you go. So thank you. And that looks nice. That's probably the best view I've had of me tonight of all time. So, Brittany, thank you again for being here as well. Let me just mention the fact that it's always a pleasure to have you. You're the reigning Stage Door Idol, but as we're going to get into it, hopefully you will not be reigning for very much longer. Hopefully this summer you'll be able to pass your crown on to the next winner. So
yes, I will happily pass it along.
Yes, I understand that. All right, thank you, Brittany. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Alan.
All right. That leaves us to talk a little bit about Stage Door Idol and a couple other things. So let me please figure out what's going on with the remainder of your season. Have you had a chance to talk about what's going on with the
So we do have a lineup ready to go through June. So after this show, April, we kind of take it slow just with the rest of the festivals in the season to compete with. But we do have a Dine and Dance with the Victory Swing Orchestra. So that is a meal and a performance by our lovely VSO. Singer is Dodie Piper and Paul Sallows.
Dodie is a fantastic performer. Mm-hmm. She was great in the production that he did of She Loves Me. Mm-hmm. She's still a Victory Bell.
She's not a Victory Bell, but she sings with our VSO. She sings with our bands.
She did have service as a Victory Bell earlier.
Oh, right? She did. Oh, yeah. She's I don't know how long she was a bell, but she was one for a very long time. She actually hasn't.
Did Dodie also recently have another child? Is that?
She had her first child, I think, in the fall. Mm-hmm.
So we have, as I said, Brittany just had a baby. Dodie had a baby. And again, I'm glad to see that talented people are reproducing.
Exactly. So go ahead. And we also, so that's April 9th is the VSO, but the evening before, I skipped ahead a little bit, April 8th, we are having, we've been doing a series called Cocktails in World War II. So there's not really necessarily been entertainment, but it's been a lecture of different drinks, rum. We've done a couple rum ones. We've done tiki drinks, which is a lot of rum, but we've done I can't remember the last one, but we've done a bit of that series with a drink historian named Elizabeth Pierce.
Yes.
And she is bringing to us a cabaret on April 8th called Dry. It's a prohibition cabaret. So her and 2 other performers and a pianist will be performing at Stage Door Canteen at 6 o'clock.
And what's the date again?
April 8th, Friday, April 8th.
Okay.
And that includes 3 drink samples, and Elizabeth will also describe the drinks a little bit, but then be performing in the cabaret. And it's a little bit prior to World War II because it's prohibition, but a lot of that had a lot to do with what happened with drinks. You know, prohibition had a lot to do with what happened in the country in a way, which leads to her. It's kind of the precursor to her talks of the other cocktails in World War II.
And again, in the fall, you hopefully will be back up to regular productions that.
Yeah.
You know.
So that's April. May, we are bringing Hank Williams.
Back again.
Jason Petty as Hank Williams. He was scheduled in 2020, so he was one that was canceled, and we finally been able to schedule him. So that's, I believe, opening May 13th. Yes, May 13th, 2 weekends. And then in June, we're bringing We'll Meet Again, the show of the Blonde Bombshells of World War II, which is the show that we canceled 2 years ago, almost to the day, when the pandemic started. So that's starring Hannah Rochelle and Bryce Slocum. And that will be in June, the last 2 weekends in June. So that closes out our season, but we will be opening it up with Stage Door Idol come July. So our plan is to do.
Right. So everybody needs to know July and August. We're going to have, is it going to be 5 weeks?
It will be 5 weeks. So it's actually 3 in July and 2 in August, just because of where the holiday lands with the 4th of July. So we will be sending out information for auditions soon, which will probably be in June. And I got to get my judges lined up sooner than later. So I'm hoping you'll be back on that for us, Alan.
I would love to. It's a great pleasure of me to be able to help out with that. So, and again, I've actually helped out in the past with also some of the auditioning too, because I know the era music very well. But that's
exactly.
Well, listen, I know I promise I keep you on for an hour, but I have to actually cut it a little short because I'm looking right now. My battery's about ready to run out, and I think we really covered everything we needed to tonight.
We did.
Sorry we got off to a late start, but again, thank you very much for being with me, Erica Jensen. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the lady who is the director of entertainment at the National World War II Museum and responsible for the Stage Door Idol competition and doing all the fantastic work over there. And again, keep it up. Thank you very much, Erica. Stick around for just a second while I say goodbye to everybody. Again, my name is Alan Smason. This is NOLA Theater Talk, and we're seen on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, and my own YouTube channel. I want to thank all of our guests for tonight for being with us. And again, I'll see you at the theater.